Dave Bautista, like you said, seems like he's done with it. James Gunn's probably done directing Guardians movies and is going to move on with his future with DC. So I think this, like he said, I think he phrased it as closing the book on the Guardians.
Welcome to Backseat Directing,
where we talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and more.
We're your hosts,
Andrew
and Aaron,
and we film new episodes every Monday and Thursday.
And today we're going over the holiday special from the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Here we go. Action.
It's 3, 2, 1, action.
Say here we go sometimes.
No, I
check the footage.
It's always 3, 2, 1. But that's okay. Zach, welcome to the studio.
Back. This is my third time.
Hold on. I know we're welcoming Zach, but talk about perfectionism. It's 3, 2, 1 action.
It is. You gotta get it right.
You think, Andrew, you think that I am a control freak.
Prove it.
All right, so welcome, Zach. Thank you for coming back to the show. We love having you.
Happy to be back, fellas.
First time in our new studio that has terrible audio.
I love it.
So we've been told. And guess what? We did nothing to fix it.
Yeah.
We're doing our
improvements coming.
All right. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special came out this last week during Thanksgiving. We all watched it. Zach tried to trick us, telling us he didn't watch it, but we saw right through the lie and knew that he did. What'd you guys think?
Overall, very entertaining. Super entertaining and heartwarming, and I liked it a lot.
I've been thinking about my answer to this question a lot. I know you're going to start the episode off asking that, like you always do. So I think that Straw Hat Goofy, he's a creator on TikTok, and I think he put it really well. One of his videos, he says that he can enjoy things that are bad, just like he can enjoy things that are average. And I think this kind of falls into the former category of something that is bad that I can enjoy. Because I think objectively it's pretty cheesy and bad. But I also think, like we've talked about with a lot of Marvel projects lately, is like that's the goal. Like if the goal is for it to be cheesy, you don't want that to like go over your head. And I think the goal was for it to be cheesy. Like it seems very clearly and obviously inspired from James Gunn's childhood. His favorite era is obviously the 80s. Like that shines through in all his movies. And I think that it's kind of like an homage to like the Christmas specials of that day, like the He-Man Christmas special and things like that, kind of that like cheesy, just fun-loving holidays Christmas vibe. And it's just fun and funny. It's entertaining to watch, but it's like a Saturday morning cartoon and it's like silliness. So it's just fun. But what do you think?
I had a feeling that you were going to say that. I was going to try to guess your prediction, but you started going too quick. But I would kind of agree more with Andrew than with Zach. I think it was...
That's why we needed Zach on the episode, because we're snobby.
Right. I think it was fun. Will I watch it again? I don't think so. You know, like some of the parts were pretty cringy, but some of the parts were pretty funny and I laughed too. You know, like you said, it was a good time, but it wasn't a good show.
Even like there are moments where like I feel like the special effects are phenomenal, and then there are moments like when they're jumping over the back, like the fences in the front yards and they're following Kevin Bacon, where it's obviously not movie quality special effects. And like Aaron said before, like if they're gonna do something like this, I would rather if the money, just put that money straight into Daredevil Born Again instead of spending that money on the Guardians Holiday Special to bridge a small gap into the movie. And we'll talk about what this adds to upcoming Guardians 3, but there's, you know, it's a very thin, tenuous line that like makes this movie necessary in any way. So I think it was just made for fun.
Yeah, I think it was definitely made for fun, and I thought it was fun. I think I could be misremembering, but I thought I saw something explicitly saying that this was kind of based off or influenced by the Star Wars Holiday Special. So it's supposed to be kind of, like you said, corny, and it was corny, but the Guardians are kind of always been corny. So, you know, I thought it was definitely charming.
I don't think they've been as cheesy as they were in this.
It's like
not saying that it was a bad cheesy. Like it fit the vibe of the special, right? Like I understood where they were coming from and stuff. And I think it was kind of based off of that Star Wars special or whatever too. Before we go too much further, I just want to do a quick summary of what the special was about. With Christmas approaching, Mantis wants to give Quill the best Christmas present ever, and what does Quill love most? Kevin Bacon, of course.
Don't we all?
Mantis and Drax head to Earth to capture Kevin Bacon and bring him to Quill for the best present ever. So, human trafficking as a reward for a child who is human trafficked.
Oh, that is kind of some funny irony. I didn't even think about it in that sense. Yeah, it is actually like in some ways.
Oh, and spoilers.
Spoilers for the
rest.
We're gonna go more in depth. That's a summary, so
Yeah.
that's obviously seen in the trailer.
Yep.
But yeah, there is some like darkness to the movie too, like you said, with the human kidnapping aspect. But let's talk about who was in this, who created it, who was on in front of the camera and behind the camera. So we all know most likely that the director and writer is James Gunn. James Gunn, obviously known for the previous 2 Guardian films, the 3rd Guardians film that's going to come out. Known for his writing work on Scooby-Doo 1. Known for his writing work on Scooby-Doo 1 and 2. He also wrote the other Guardians movies. He wrote and directed Super. He wrote 13 Ghosts. He wrote Dawn of the Dead, and he wrote The Belko Experiment, which is actually a really interesting movie that I would recommend. It's kind of like off the beaten path and more like Blumhouse style movie, so that's like a lot of fun. It's crazy experimentation type movie. Cinematography is Henry Brahman. He's worked with Gunn before on the Suicide Squad movie, the sequel that they did together, and then also music was by John Murphy, who again worked on Suicide Squad with James Gunn. John Murphy also did Les Miserables and Kick-Ass. So talented group. Marvel always has talented people. There's no slightness of people that want to be on their projects, even something smaller in scale like this. But who's the cast? We all know most of the cast. Chris Pratt is Star-Lord. Palm Clementine is Mantis. Dave Bautista is Drax. Those are kind of the 2 stars of this movie. Michael Rooker coming back to voice Yondu in the animated section of this movie is like a really cool kind of like little surprise, like a little present for us for a holiday special. That was fantastic. I think he's my favorite person in the Guardians in the first 2 movies. He's just a lot of fun to see on screen. And then Bradley Cooper as Rocket, kind of sidelined in this movie, but we'll talk about that more. Karen Gillan as Nebula. Maria Bakalova voices Cosmo the dog, another cool surprise to see in this movie. I tend to stay away from trailers, so I don't know if Cosmo was in the trailer, but it was cool that Cosmo would have lines in this movie. Sean Gunn comes back as Kraglin again, and Vin Diesel as Groot, and Kevin Bacon playing himself, which was a really cool addition to the cast that we all saw in the trailer. So what do you guys think? Who's your favorite person in this movie, actor and character-wise?
I think that
Hold the microphone towards you.
I got you. I was good. I'll get on top of it.
I think that Kevin Bacon did fantastic in this. I also always like the dynamic between Drax and Mantis. I think they work really well together because she is kind of like sheltered and not has much like experience in the world, and he is super literal. So it's funny to see them like their banter and then the way they interact with each other.
Yeah, when
just hold it so it doesn't hit the table.
When James Gunn set out with this idea, he originally wanted to give more focus to Drax and Mantis. He felt like they were kind of sidelined in the last 2 MCU projects they appeared in. He's talking about Infinity War and Endgame, and so he wanted them to have like their own story. He wanted those actors, Batista and Palm, to have a chance to kind of stretch their acting and comedic talents because he thinks they're really funny together on screen. He describes the dynamic as kind of like an Abbott and Costello, where they're both Costellos, but they do have a really fun and funny diametric on screen, and they like bounce off each other really well. They both like are goofy in a way that makes you laugh harder at the last thing the person said. They're both kind of ditzy, so it's a lot of fun, and it was cool to see them get their focus. And that's the thing we talked about a lot, is Marvel using different direction styles and different kind of movies like a holiday special. And also the other thing that goes with that is giving different characters their time to shine, which I'd agree that they didn't get their time to shine. And like I mentioned, Rocket is sidelined in this movie with only a few lines. He has he has the part that I laughed at the most in the movie still, where he lunges at Kevin Bacon. But I think he's sidelined in this movie because another thing James Gunn talks about in his interview is that Rocket is going to be a big focus of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, where he came from, his backstory, and kind of exploring like his trauma, what he's been through, and his character. And I'm very excited for that because I love Bradley Cooper. I love him doing the voice. I think Rocket is the most entertaining member of the Guardians that we have left. And so I'm okay with him being sidelined because they're going back and forth at this point filming Guardians Volume 3 and the holiday special. He said they would do like 4 days on Volume 3. Their Friday would be like changing tonally and going to the holiday special. So it makes sense that Bradley Cooper is hopefully busy, you know, taking that bigger role and that bigger step on the stage in Volume 3.
Maybe this is a formula for them to like do these kind of shorts more often too. You know, like doing that where they're filming a movie, but then at the same time they're filming a short. You know, it seems like they're kind of knocking two birds with one stone there. You know, so maybe we will see more of these kind of specials coming out, which we were talking, I don't know if we ever said it on air, but we wanted to see more of these like 50-minute stories rather than just all these shows with a bunch of filler in it, you know? So maybe we will get to see more specials.
Yeah, I think the specials are an effective way to add to the MCU. One thing I was going to say, though, that I think I remember seeing some things about Dave Bautista feeling like Drax was kind of like not really living up to the full potential. And I feel like in this, while he's entertaining, and I think he's always been entertaining, it didn't really do anything to add to the seriousness of the character. He was still in that same like jokey kind of aspect. Like he didn't have any like really serious that added a lot of depth to the character in this, which I would have liked to see. You know, I think Dave Bautista's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's been kind of well known, or at least he's said a few times that like this is going to be his last time playing Drax.
Yeah, so not only that, Dave Bautista, when James Gunn was asked about Dave Bautista saying that this would be the end of Drax, his journey as Drax in Guardians 3, James Gunn said that it's kind of the end of all the characters' arc for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So this third movie will probably end the story of the Guardians, you know, maybe as a team. So we'll see what characters move on in the universe. But Dave Bautista, like you said, seems like he's done with it. James Gunn's probably done directing Guardians movies and is going to move on with his future with DC. So I think like he said, I think he phrased it as closing the book on the Guardians. So this is a trilogy, you know, a lot of things end in trilogies, and it kind of seems like it's going to be the case when Guardians 3 comes out. But there's a lot of cool, exciting stuff that I feel like we're expecting to see, like Adam Warlock in that movie. So maybe we'll see development of Drax. Like, I totally see your point, and I agree with it, that like Drax starts off with the loss of his family and is a character with depth with this revenge plotline. But that depth isn't, you know, it doesn't go very far because the revenge plotline for him is pretty surface level, that he wants to kill Thanos. And that's all it is throughout. And he just kind of gets more levity, and
he gets tossed when he fights Thanos. He gets totally beat up. So there's not ever really like
which most people did.
Yeah. There's just not ever really like a closure for the loss of his family, you know. It's talked about. He attacks or not Thanos, Ronan. And he gets beat up, so it's like, you know, just hasn't had closure.
Yeah, I agree. Do you want to briefly go over the plot of the movie? I can say what happened real quick. It's pretty short. It's pretty easy to say exactly what happened in this movie.
Oh, for the special?
Yeah. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 opens with the awesome animated segment where they see basically that Yondu has kind of crushed Peter Quill's Christmas spirit. So in the name of Christmas coming up soon and trying to cheer Peter up because he's recently lost Gamora as well, Drax and Mantis go on a mission to Earth, which this part where they leave is where I say the CGI really like knocks it out of the park, because I think it looks great as they're flying away. Are they flying in the Bowie? Do any of you guys?
I think that's a new ship.
A different ship?
I think it's a new one.
Because the Bowie, they have a new ship now named the Bowie, which is interesting. Yeah, you know, the motivation for it. But so they go off to Earth. Pretty quickly summarizing, they kidnap Kevin Bacon in like a hilarious sequence of events where they fight off cops and drag him back home, and Mantis uses her powers to make him complacent. He comes back to nowhere, where the Guardians are now, kind of sprucing things up. They're kind of improving nowhere.
They bought this place from the Collector.
Yes. Which is kind of links some bridges for us, right? So, spoiler again, but the two things that this movie really connects for us going to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is one, that this is where the Guardians have been spending their time. They've been improving nowhere. And two, Mantis is another child of Ego, making her the sister of Peter Quill. So these are kind of the two big things other than introducing Cosmo. I would say that this movie connects. So they really don't make it so you have to watch this movie, I feel like, which is kind of nice. They're not forcing fans to have to watch it, but there is some links here still keeping it causally connected to the rest of the MCU that motivate you to watch it in a sense. But
I think James Gunn said that it like kind of answers some questions so he can start out Volume 3 kind of running.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to spend like a little bit of time explaining this and that when it's like, it's over here.
Yeah.
You know,
this movie is about Mantis trying to cheer him up in a way. She says it's because she feels like she should, because it's her brother. So like that kind of would have been something they'd probably spend 30 minutes to an hour on in a movie. Sense of surprise. It's his. And I agree with him that it makes sense to speed the plot along for the next movie, get into the meat and potatoes. So then they bring Kevin Bacon back, and there's the spectacle of giving him to Peter as a gift, and it's kind of shocking and appalling to him that they've committed a kidnapping. So he forces Mantis to relinquish Kevin Bacon from the Mantis's spell, kind of. Kevin Bacon starts freaking out, and this is where kind of one of my critiques from the movie came in. So I want to hear what you guys think about this. But after talking to Kraglin, Kevin Bacon just forms a complete like 180 and feels bad for Peter Quill, and he's like, you know what? I have been kidnapped and taken away from my family, but now seems like a good time to sing a song for them. So like on top of the song from the beginning of the movie that took like a full 4 minutes, there's now a whole nother song in this movie. And like the idea, I know that it's like a goofy Christmas special, so I guess that's why it fits into it. And I guess I shouldn't be so critical, but the idea that Kevin Bacon would be kidnapped and then just like in the spirit of the holidays, like,
yeah, man, it's the spirit of Christmas.
he was able to understand, like, okay, I'm not in danger anymore. They want to bring me home, you know, like.
He got to see the humanity of.
Mic closer.
He got to see the humanity of Peter Quill. Like he got to see.
Of all of them, really.
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
Like,
why
they
they're
did
doing
this with
it.
this intention.
Yeah, the Guardians are a band of misfits, you know. So I think he understood
this
that.
person looks up to me, you know, like what little can I do, you know, and just kind of give him a little Christmas present.
Yeah.
Of a nice song.
If you guys say so. He's just now like.
I don't know. I thought it made sense. I thought you could kind of put two and two together for him to see like, oh, this is Christmas. This is, you know, supposed to be.
Maybe they talked,
joyful.
Maybe they talked longer off of camera too, of him panicking and freaking out and stuff. And that was just the last conversation that they had as they were about to take him to Earth. And he's like, you know what, like, that's a touching story. I'll stay. You know, like, you guys are bringing me home anyways. Like, I'm safe. I got cell service. I can talk to my family here. You know, like. I
do agree that the opening song went on forever. I was like. Okay, like I think Chris Pratt said it best. Oh, there's more. You know,
one thing that I did miss in this movie that goes along with the opening song as well is everyone seems so confused about the concept of Christmas, but there's no alien traditions in this movie, which I would have loved to see because there's so much life injected into alien culture and things like Star Wars. Like in this movie. So James Gunn said that the reason he never considered even putting Nova in the Guardians, who Nova's like traditionally a member of the Guardians in the comics, he didn't want there to be two humans on that team. He wanted it to be a human, i.e. Peter Quill, surrounded by aliens. So I understand the feel he's going for, but with that, if it's all like, if these other alien cultures are such a big part of the story, why isn't alien culture like involved in this movie? Like there should be a tradition, you know, some kind of holiday or festivity.
Christmas. What if there's another holiday that they just got done celebrating that we just didn't see?
Well, you can say that for literally everything. What if there was incredible acting, they just didn't film it? What if there was a great fight scene, they didn't film it? I don't care about this
alien holiday that doesn't exist. Like
I do. That's part of the universe. Like that's like Christmas is.
But how would that have added to this? special.
It would have created its world building. It would have given culture and life to those people. Those people just have no holidays, or like that's what I think that is missing. It needed injected into it.
Surprised by there being a holiday. I mean, they had the multi-calendar or whatever, so like they obviously know of all these other events that are going on different planets and universes and stuff.
But I don't want to assume that there's other holidays. Like show that there is other holidays. Like there's no value to assuming it, because I will say world building again. But for world building and for giving culture to like these other alien races that are supposed to be such a big part of the story. Like I get it, they've never heard of Christmas, but like I
don't know if they're a big part of this story though. This story is it's a short little story about Christmas.
One thing I was going to say to change the pace from alien holidays and Christmas is I thought it was a known fact that, you know, the whole point of this, it seemed at least, was to show that Mantis is Peter Quill's sister.
Yeah. And
I thought we knew that already.
No.
In the Events of Guardians 2, they say that Ego was killing all his other children, and it to me seemed like he kept Mantis around because she helped him sleep. To me, that's saying that that's one of his children. So I don't know.
It was definitely implied.
Yeah, you know, I think heavily implied. They just didn't flat out say it. Maybe they need to spell it out more, I guess. But I thought I already knew that. I mean, it's a thing in the comic books too. So, you know, but even just from the movie, you can kind of tell they're related, in my opinion.
I mean, Peter clearly didn't know. It was a revelation to Peter Quill.
Yeah, but I feel like it shouldn't have been though, because like, yes, I mean, yeah, it was. It was definitely a shock to him, but it seemed like it shouldn't have been, because like they know that Yondu was taking kids to Ego, and then it wasn't just Peter Quill. That's when he changed his mind at Peter Quill, but he had taken multiple, however many of Ego's spawn to Ego, the planet, and they were all of them were killed. So like, I don't know. It just seemed like, why is this such a big revelation? Because I feel like we already knew all this. All these things were like, they're related, you know?
Yeah, I think a pretty big part of this special is that it's a lot shorter than the series. So it's more digestible, and you really, I feel like, don't have to watch it. Like there's the obligation to watch it is if you want like a fun holiday, like some laughs. And like you're saying, like I feel like that's something they'll gloss over briefly at the beginning of Guardians 3 with a line or two, and like this, what's supposed to be a revelation, I feel like isn't really that big of a revelation, or it's not something where you will be crippled watching the next movie if you haven't watched it.
It like brings us back to the beginning of this podcast where we were like, well, just take this money, this resources, put it into movies and shows and characters that we care about. Mm-hmm. You know, that the audience wants more of. It seems like Daredevil is one of those characters that people want more of. You know, like, did anyone want this holiday special? You know, no one was out there like, we really need a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, you know? Yeah. And it seemed like they didn't put a lot into this either. I mean, obviously it's a well-done production and stuff, but like, James Gunn wrote this in 3 days.
He also wrote the song. He wrote the lyrics to the song.
Yeah. That's cool.
Which song? The Kevin Bacon song or the first song?
The first song.
Okay. The Kevin Bacon song seemed like it was a real song, but I didn't know if it was or not. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Aaron. Like, I definitely wasn't like, I need
it. It seemed like this was just like something fun that they got to do, you know, like, and like all power to
Which
you.
is
like,
fun. I mean, I'm all for it. I definitely had fun. The only time I didn't have fun was when I was like, God, this opening song is going on forever. But the rest of it, like Mantis and Drax, you know, when they first go to Vegas, and you're getting to see you see Ant-Man and you see Mantis attack somebody cosplaying as Steve Rogers, and you know, and there's like a GoBots Easter egg and stuff too. So like you get to see all that fun stuff, and you get to see him drink and make new friends and stuff. And
GoBots killed his cousin.
Yeah, and I think that's cool that because that's kind of saying like GoBots exist in the MCU, like not just as this like toy, but if they killed Drax's cousin, that means there is a alien race of GoBots out there somewhere.
Also in the streets, when they were walking around and they saw all these people cosplaying and stuff, we saw Kilgo's picture in the background from Eternals.
Kingo?
And he has a bunch of movies or whatever that are coming out because he's this like
celebrity
actor and stuff. So.
That's cool because I feel like the Eternals is kind of like
not as connected.
Yeah, it felt very like kind of disconnected. Yeah, than a lot of other projects.
There's a Kingo reference in Miss Marvel too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think
I'm glad they're doing those things though, because these characters haven't shown up, and then here they are for one movie. So I like that they're sprinkling it in, so we actually can kind of see.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice any other Easter eggs that you could be seen throughout? I didn't notice the whole time. The Kingo one was the main one that I was going to bring up, but I'm sure there were plenty of small things here and there.
That was pretty funny. Yeah.
It's a Easter. Well, I don't know if it's exactly an Easter egg or a plot point, but the end of it, that first like little guy that Peter Quill gives to Yondu as a Christmas present. In the previous movies, you can see that he has a bunch of those on his spaceship like dash, basically. So that kind of is a nice touch, saying that like maybe all of those came from Peter Quill, like, and that was kind of their thing, you know, because that was his like dad.
Yeah, started his collection that way.
Yeah, I think there's a flashback as well in the previous Guardians movie showing young Peter Quill with Yondu using the blasters like early on or possibly for the first time. That would have been like coming off of that Christmas present. Obviously, the blaster's not really an Easter egg, but given a Christmas present for the blasters that he still uses to this day.
It's kind of like the best thing from Black Widow, the movie. You know, you get to see the origins of her new vest. You know, you kind of get to see the origins of Peter Quill's signature weapon. So, you know, I dig it.
Yeah. Overall, I'm looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Volume 3. I know Andrew's not super excited because he hates the Guardians, but that's why we brought on Zach. Cause
not a big Guardians fan.
Really? I kind of love the Guardians. Like,
I like them a lot. I had their movies ranked really high because we did an episode where we ranked all of the MCU movies, and we averaged it between the two of us, and he brought our Guardians average way down.
See, I think James Gunn, and everybody says this, but I think it's amazing how he can take characters that nobody knows anything about and make you care about them so much. Like, who the hell was Peacemaker, you know? And then he gets his own series. Peacemaker's had his own TV show before, like, you know,
someone popular, like an X-Men character, like Gambit or
somebody super popular. Like, who's Peacemaker? Not a lot of people even knew about him.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I think James Gunn did kind of perfectly with the Guardians, you know? Every single one of them. My least favorite one is Gamora, but...
that's your least favorite one?
Yeah. All the other ones, I think they...
I bet you were cheering in the theater when she died.
No, still sad. But, yeah, like Rocket...
Serves you right.
Dude, I can't get enough of Rocket and Groot. Like...
Bradley Cooper,
I love Bradley Cooper. He's the man.
Yeah,
so handsome.
Just like you.
Stop it.
All right, so that wraps up this episode on the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Volume 3 comes out.
I'd have to search that up.
Next
year, 2023.
Yeah, it's the next one after Ant-Man Quantumania, which is February. So this one's probably more like June-ish, but I'd have to look to see the exact date. But it's the next movie after Quantumania.
All right. Zach, thanks for coming to the studio, doing another podcast with us. We love having you here. Hopefully we can have you back again, assuming you're not dead after this podcast.
Yeah, I definitely will be back. And one final note, I loved that Michael Rooker was back. I loved Yondu, so it was cool to see him come back.
It was like the best thing for me, honestly, the whole movie. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We do post new episodes every Monday and Thursday. Aaron?
And
that's a wrap.